The sun was just beginning to set behind the old wooden houses of a quiet little town, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and pink. In the heart of this town lived a young woman named Alina, whose life had always been defined by hard work and simple dreams. She was known for her gentle spirit and her unwavering kindness, but her poverty made her invisible to many people who cared more for wealth than for character. Every morning, she woke up before dawn, helping her mother sell vegetables at the local market. Her hands were rough from years of labor, yet her heart remained soft and full of hope. Among the bustling streets of the market stood a magnificent black car that belonged to Adrian, the heir to one of the richest families in the city. Adrian had everything a man could want: wealth, respect, and influence. But what he didn't have was the warmth of genuine love. His life was filled with people who cared about his name, his money, and his status, but few who truly saw the man behind the fortune. One rainy afternoon, Adrian's car broke down near the marketplace. While his driver rushed to call for help, Adrian stepped out and looked around. That was when he first noticed Alina. She was helping an old woman gather the fallen apples that had rolled into the mud because of the storm. Her hair was damp from the rain. Her clothes were simple and worn. Yet the smile on her face as she helped the old woman carried a light that touched Adrian deeply. He didn't speak to her that day, but as he returned to his world of glittering parties and business meetings, he found himself thinking of the girl with the soft smile and the rain-drenched hair. Days turned into weeks, and fate brought them together again when Adrian returned to the market. This time, not as a wealthy heir, but as a man searching for a glimpse of the girl who had left an unexpected mark on his heart. He began to visit the market more often, sometimes buying vegetables he didn't really need, just so he could hear her voice and see her eyes light up when she spoke. Alina, though shy, couldn't help but notice the man who always treated her with respect, who spoke to her as though her words truly mattered. She had no idea who he really was. To her, he was just a kind stranger who seemed curious about her little world. Their conversations grew longer with each meeting. Adrian learned about her struggles, about her dreams of becoming a teacher someday, about the nights she spent studying by candlelight because she couldn't afford electricity in her small room. Alina, in turn, learned that behind his polished appearance, Adrian was someone who longed for sincerity, for something pure in a world where everything felt bought and sold. But the path to their happiness wasn't smooth. When Adrian's wealthy friends and family learned about his growing affection for the girl from the market, they were shocked and outraged. They saw her as nothing more than a poor girl trying to climb her way up by catching his attention. Rumors spread. Whispers filled the grand halls of his family's mansion, and soon the pressure on Adrian became unbearable. Alina, too, faced cruelty. The other market vendors teased her, some with envy, others with malice. They called her foolish for thinking that someone like Adrian could ever truly care for someone like her. Her heart ached under the weight of their words, but what hurt the most was when Adrian's family publicly humiliated her during a charity event where Adrian had invited her as his guest. They looked at her worn-out dress and whispered, mocking her behind their polite smiles. That night, Alina went home with tears in her eyes. She told herself that dreams like hers were not meant for people like her. She decided to step back, to distance herself from Adrian, believing that her presence was only bringing him trouble. She stopped going to the market for a while, choosing instead to work quietly from home, sewing clothes to earn a few coins. Adrian noticed her absence almost immediately. Days without seeing her felt empty, and he realized how deeply he had come to care for her. He tried to reach out, but she avoided him, thinking it was the only way to protect both their hearts from further pain. Yet love has a way of finding its path. One evening, Adrian showed up at her small house, unannounced. He stood in the rain, the same way he had first seen her months ago, but this time his heart was heavy with longing. When she opened the door, startled to find him there, he simply said, "I don't care about the whispers. I don't care about the wealth or the expectations. I care about you, and I can't let you walk out of my life because of what others think." Alina was torn between her feelings and her fears. "You deserve someone who belongs in your world," she whispered. "I am just a poor girl. I don't want to be the reason you lose everything." Adrian stepped closer, his eyes filled with determination. "I've had everything: money, power, status, but none of it ever made me feel alive the way you do. You didn't fall in love with my wealth. You didn't even know who I was when we met. You saw me as a person, not a name. That's the kind of love I've been searching for all my life." His words broke through the walls Alina had built around her heart. She realized that love wasn't about what they had or didn't have. It was about the connection that had grown between them, fragile yet unshakable. Still, the challenges ahead were far from over. Adrian's parents gave him an ultimatum: leave Alina or lose his inheritance. Many would have given in to such pressure, but Adrian chose differently. He walked away from the life of luxury, choosing instead to build a future with the woman he loved. It wasn't easy. They faced financial struggles, harsh criticism, and moments of doubt, but they faced it together. As time passed, Alina's dream of becoming a teacher came true with Adrian's support. She opened a small community school, teaching children who couldn't afford proper education. Adrian, once a man defined by his wealth, found joy in helping others alongside her. Together, they built a life grounded not in riches but in compassion, respect, and unwavering love. Years later, when they looked back on their journey, they realized that what they had gained was far greater than any inheritance. The same people who once mocked them began to admire them, not because of their money, but because of the way they had stayed true to each other despite all odds. Their love story became an inspiration in their town, a reminder that wealth can build houses, but only love can build a home. It proved that sometimes the richest hearts belong to those who have known the greatest struggles. And so, the girl who was once rejected for being poor, and the man who once lived surrounded by riches but starved for love, built a life together. One that showed the world that love, when true and steadfast, changes everything.